steps. We have summed it up into 9, and those 9 steps we will cover today in the next 45 to 60 minutes. So the journey starts with self-discovery, which is about you understanding your core strength, your core expertise, your unique profile. Then moving on into ideation, so coming up with a number of business ideas based on your unique profile, based on your unique expertise. Then analyzing those ideas in the module number 3, kind of shortlisting them, coming up with maybe 1 or 2 that seem to be the best fit with yourself, with your expertise, with your profile. Moving on into the prototype, where it is all about creating something that you can show to your prospective clients, you know, a kind of a basic version of your product, a basic version of your service. So this is what the prototype is all about. Moving into market test, which is all about an efficient, simple, cheap way how to collect feedback from the market, basically get people's feedback, get your prospective customers' feedback on your prototype. And point number 7 is thinking about your team, who are the people, the suppliers, the partners you need to get your business off the ground. Point number 8 is financial plan. So what are your expected costs, revenues? How does this all come together into your potential profit? And bringing this all together into next steps, creating a pitch deck or investment proposal or funding proposal, whatever we would like to call this. So bring this all together and you leaving Incubate with something very specific that you can show to your prospective investors, that you can show to your potential partners, co-founders, employees, etc. So we will cover those 9 steps in more detail today, basically discussing what those steps are about, why are they important, and especially what are some of the mistakes to be avoided. From time to time, I will be linking to our platform just to show you, how you can eventually get support inside the platform, inside Incubate, should you choose to, kind of continue or start your journey on Incubate. So these are the 9 steps that we'll be covering today. So let's kick it off with the first one, the self-discovery. So why do we have self-discovery, right? Why is this important? So whenever you're starting your own business, it's really important to understand and potentially define what is your unique profile. What we mean by that is, what are your unique strengths? What is your expertise? What is your experience? So of course, we do come with certain, track record, previous work experience, etc. But what we see with our members is that even though they're aware of that, they're not as aware of the implications as they should be. So the objective of the step 1 for you, whenever you start your own business, is to really understand what is it that makes you unique. And each of us is unique. We don't have to be the, presidents of the world or Elon Musks of the world to be unique in terms of our expertise, in terms of our skill set, in terms of our personality. So the first step comes down to really being aware of what are our key strengths. We will discuss and explain later on why is this important. Why this matters is actually to really maximize our probability of success. So what we see with a lot of our members is that they just pursue an idea that maybe is currently hot, maybe everybody's talking about it, perhaps there's a lot of talk in the media. But if you really want to maximize your own probability of success, do focus on the area where you are really good. Do focus on the area where you have context, where you have previous experience, where you have some expertise, because this is an area that you really understand. There is so much complexity in starting any kind of business. It doesn't have to be a complicated technological startup. It can just be, a local, simple business. But even that local, simple business carries a lot of complexity, carries a lot of unknowns, carries a lot of things that you just simply need to understand before you dive into it. So first, we need to be aware of what is it that we are really good at, if you really understand, and then focus on that particular area. And that's how you maximize the probability of success, right? So let's say that I'm a marketer. I'm working in a corporation, and for some reason I'm really attracted to yoga, right? So I can start my own yoga studio. But if I don't really understand, yoga, if I don't understand the business, if I don't understand, what other yoga studios are out there, it will be very challenging for me to start a successful yoga studio and especially because vast majority of people that actually do start a yoga studio have that unique expertise, right? So be aware of what your unique profile is, what are your unique strengths, your unique expertise, your unique experience, and start your own business around it. So some of the typical mistakes to avoid when it comes to this step one, self-discovery. So the first mistake to avoid is certainly to start a business without any insights or experience in the particular field. Like I was mentioning the example with the yoga studio, right? So we hear a lot about different ventures. We have our family members, friends, acquaintances start something. But it's really important to have those insights, because if you don't have that insights, it doesn't mean that you will fail, but you will be going against people who have that insight, and for them it is so much more easy to do that kind of business. So try to understand, what's your unique insight, what's your unique profile, and focus on that particular field. And this is how you maximize the probability of success. What we see quite a lot is that people, of course, underestimate their strengths, right? Maybe you think that you are not that unique. Maybe you think that, what everybody knows. And honestly, that's very often not true, because you do have a unique skill set, you do have a unique expertise, you do have a unique personality based on what you went through, based on all the things that you have learned. So do not underestimate that, right? Be aware of it, be really aware of it, and use this to build your business around it. Do not underestimate your strengths. It sounds very simple, but we see this very frequently with our members, that they just say like, hey, like what I know, everybody knows. I'm not special, there is nothing unique about what I do. There is. Be aware of it and use this to your advantage. What we see as well, of course, is people potentially overestimating their strengths. They feel that perhaps they have some idea that nobody came up before, or they feel that they know something that nobody else knows. And sometimes it's true, but very often, especially in current world, where everything is interconnected, everybody's talking to everybody, you can find everything online. Very often there are no ideas that have not been out there. It's all about execution. So it's good to be aware of your strength, but also understand that there are other people out there who are either doing the same thing or potentially considering the same thing. And that's fine, right? But let's not overestimate our strengths, our ideas, how much we understand something, because that tends not to be true. And the last point in this step one, self-discovery, typical mistake to avoid is not fully considering your values and your personality. Why this matters is that starting your own business, it is actually quite a long journey, right? So as I mentioned, I have been doing this for the past 15, 16 years. And every single business I have done, it was at least a number of years. And it's a lot of work, it's a lot of obstacles you have to overcome. And it's very important that it's not just about money or profit, but that the business is really aligned with how you would like to live. So every single one of you has an idea how you would like to live, what matters to you, what lifestyle you would like to have. It's very important to make sure that whatever you build or whatever you will be building in the years to come is aligned with that. Because if it's not, you will find yourself very soon in a situation where you will just be fed up with it. You will be upset. You will feel like this is simply not sustainable. So it's very important to be aware of that, and very important to consider this, as you build the foundations of your business. So those are some high-level thoughts, right? What is kind of important, and I will just share very briefly here. So when you log into Ancubate, and by the way, this module 1, this is available to anybody. You just you don't have to get any membership. You can just go through it. So all of those points I discussed, they might be slightly harder to execute, but if you log into the platform and you go into the module 1, in this case, it will walk you step by step, and you will get all the answers to the questions that maybe you have in your mind, right? So, for example, here, there's the value-based exercise. So you start it, and it just takes you step by step, asking you questions. You will reflect on it, you will put it down, you'll work with your answers. So at the end of the module 1, you will basically be very aware of your strength. You will be very aware of your expertise, your experience, your values, your personality, and all this you'll be able to use further in the whole journey. So this is how the Ancubate platform is essentially set up. So this is for the step 1, the self-discovery. Defining your unique profile, your strength, your expertise, your personality, your values. This is where it all starts, with you, right? Because you are the first person, the number 1 person in the company, certainly for the next weeks or months before you start getting people on board and your team starts growing. So then we move into step 2, ideation. So what is ideation all about? It's about generating business ideas, right? And it's about generating business ideas that are aligned with your profile. This is important, right? Because as we discussed in step 1, it's really useful and it's really good to have a lot of business ideas, but it's even better to have business ideas that are really aligned with your personality, with your strengths, and with your expertise. For the reasons that we also discussed, is because simply if you focus on things that are close to what what you're good at, where you have contacts, where you have some interests and previous experience, you are so much more likely to succeed than if you focus on areas where simply you don't have that much insight. So in the step 2, in the ideation, it is about generating business ideas, dozens of them, maybe anywhere from 5 to 20 business ideas. Maybe some of us here, they take little notes, right? Maybe you have a little list where you put all your business ideas. Some of us carry this in our heads. That's fine as well. But having ideas is great, because then you have something to choose from. Why this matters is that not all ideas are actually created equal, right? So not all ideas have the same business potential. Not all ideas have the same kind of fit with you as the founder, as the CEO, as the boss, whatever you would like to call this. So it's really important to have an array of ideas, so you can pick from those. Typical mistakes to avoid when it comes to generating ideas. So there's, again, a couple. So the first one is, of course, not taking full advantage of your unique insights. So what we mean by that is, essentially 2 things. So one is the previous step. So very often, a lot of our members, they are generating a lot of ideas, right? So some people have a lot of ideas, but when we talk to them, it becomes pretty quick, quite clear that many of those ideas, they are not necessarily connected to their insights, to their expertise, right? They're just ideas, something they read about or heard about, and it's fine. At the same time, they are not building on their unique insights. It's really good to focus on that area, right? The step 1, as we discussed, the self-discovery. Focus on the area that you really understand, where you're good at, and perhaps those are several areas, right? That's fine as well. Focus on that and really take a deep dive into that, because you are uniquely positioned to take this deep dive into your area that you really understand. And the mistake we see very often is that people say, well, yeah, right, I understand this area, but maybe I'm interested in this and that, and then other things. And they focus majority of their energy on the areas which they don't fully understand, where they don't have the unique insights, rather than doubling down on the area where they do have the unique insights. So focus on the area that you understand. If you're good in, Facebook marketing, focus on that. If you're good in, massages, focus on that. If you're perfect in, Indian cuisine as a chef, focus on that. So focus on, what is your unique insight and double down on that. Second mistake to avoid, and also a thing that we see quite often with our members, is jumping to conclusions, right? So all of us have a couple of ideas that we have been in love with, for months or maybe even years. So we just create this list of ideas, right? They are potentially all reasonable. And then we just focus on the one or two that we are in love with, right? For no particular reason, because it just feels like the right idea. And maybe it is, but it is important to do the analysis. So let's not jump to conclusions. Let's evaluate the ideas, consciously, analytically, rationally. And let's really pick the ideas that have the best market potential, that have the best fit with your unique profile, and focus on that. Let's don't jump to conclusions, because if you choose too quickly, you will be stuck with that ideas at least for months, right? So if you do a wrong decision now, picking the wrong idea, you will be working on this wrong idea for maybe half a year or perhaps longer, only to find out that it actually doesn't make sense. And you have just wasted half a year of your time. So picking the idea, the one that you will stick with, it is really important, really important. And it's important not to jump to conclusions and really make a careful, kind of cautious analysis of that. Point 3 is underestimating your ability to see opportunities, right? So again, it's kind of this irony situation, right? Because we simply, it's connected to what I mentioned in the step 1, right? We really understand something, but because we understand it so well, we just take it for granted, right? So we see opportunities in the field where we're active, where we're now working, where we have our daily job, or where we're freelancing, or where we have clients, and we just feel, yeah, of course, there are all those opportunities, but everybody sees them. It's not true. It's actually very often it's the opposite, right? Because you have this unique insight, because you are in touch with the client, because you are working in that field, you do see things that people do not see because they are not working in that field. So very often we see our members underestimating that, and it is just very unfortunate, because those are the things that are the easiest, to kind of pick up and to focus on. So let's not underestimate that. Let's focus again on the area where you're really good at. And if you think there's an opportunity because you understand that field, most likely the opportunity really is there. So be aware of that, and make sure that you consider this very, very carefully. So this is the ideation piece, right? And again, if we look at the platform, so you are welcome to check it out if you like. If you go into the ideation section, again, you will be walked through it step by step. So the platform will help you generate your first ideas. It will help you generate your ideas within your industry, ideas based on your core abilities. So you'll be given tasks, exercises, questions, and at the end of this section, you will have those maybe 15, 20 business ideas that you can consider. So, so this is how Incubate, can help you going forward. So this was step 2, ideation, right? So until now, we have analyzed our core strengths, our core profile, our unique expertise. And then based on this unique profile, we have generated those, dozen or 2 dozen business ideas, that we have on the paper. Now we want to start working with in more detail. So we come to the step 3, the idea analysis. So what happens here is, of course, we want to evaluate those business ideas, right? And we want to pick the most suitable one. Because as we discussed in the previous step, not all ideas are created equally, right? And that's not because they're necessarily wrong, but maybe it's not the right time. Or maybe you are not the best person to pursue them, right? That happens very often, because simply your expertise is somewhere else. So in this step, we will look into how you can evaluate the business ideas and how to pick the most suitable ones. And again, what mistakes to avoid. So it all comes down to assessing the initial business potential and the fit with you, as the first person, and for some time, the only person that actually drives this forward. So what mistakes can we avoid here? So one mistake certainly to be avoided, and I cannot repeat this more often, and still this happens, and frankly, it happens even to me very often, is all about not collecting outside feedback or opinion of others, right? Especially of the potential customers. So what happens is that we have this idea, right? We think, or we believe in some cases, that it has great potential, but sometimes we are afraid to talk to others because maybe we are worried that people might steal this idea, or they might pursue it themselves, or we are just not really confident, right, in talking to other people, especially people that we don't know about our ideas. So we just keep it to ourselves. Very, very human, right? So I'm an introvert. Maybe it doesn't come across like that, but I've learned the hard way how to put my messages across. But I'm also a very introverted person. So for me to talk to other people, it's actually very hard and has been very hard. And I have been learning this the hard way, over the past maybe 20 years since I entered university. So not collecting the feedback is very, very bad thing to do for obvious reasons, right? Because if you don't speak to your prospects, if you don't speak to the market, you'll never understand whether your business has a potential. So let's make sure that this happens. Some mistakes to avoid as well is selecting a business idea without the data, right, or without the proper analysis. So sometimes collecting the data just takes too much time, or maybe we are not necessarily data-driven people, right? Maybe you like to make decisions based on how you feel about things, or maybe you collect inputs from a few people, and then maybe you don't have any more time to collect more inputs because you have your work, you have your family, you have your other things going on. So you kind of accept maybe the limited data that you have, right? Or maybe running actually the analysis, going through the data, trying to understand the data just is too complicated. It's just too daunting. So we skip it, right? But this again, really, really not good, because whenever you pick the idea, whenever you say this is my idea and I will run with it for the next 6 months, you are also making the commitment to invest a lot of time and sometimes money into that idea. So it's really important that you pick the idea based on good data, based on proper analysis. Of course, no analysis is complete, no data is perfect, but it's important to find the right balance and do a proper analysis. And again, by the way, this is what the platform can help you out with, right? So step by step, day by day, it walks you through analysis, and you arrive to the conclusion at the end of the module 3. What we see frequently as well is that people are in love with their idea, right? And that's normal, right? I'm in love with Incubate. I have been since I started it, right? I love the idea of making entrepreneurship available to the masses. So that's good. That's a good thing. But sometimes when we disregard the data, when we disregard the analysis, we're just stuck with our love, right? And a love towards our family and friends, that's good, but a love towards a business idea that maybe is not good, it's not a good thing. So it's good to be aware of that and really focus on the data, do the analysis, and try to be as rational as possible. So this is the step 3, right? So we understand our strength, we come up with this 10, 20 different ideas, and then we pick maybe the 1, 2, 3 that we feel have the best business potential and the best fit with ourselves as founders. And this moves us into step 4, the lean canvas. So what is a lean canvas? Maybe some of you know, maybe some of you have heard about it. So essentially, a lean canvas is like a one-page business plan, right? So in the past, we would have those really long documents where you would have 20, 30 pages of text covering all the important aspects. A lean canvas kind of condenses all this into a one-page document. So it still covers the key elements, what's the problem, what's the solution, what's your unique proposition, costs, revenues, channels, all those things. But you can see everything very clearly on one page. So this is what a lean canvas is. It's your one-page business plan, which you can show to your friends, to your mentors, to your investors, and they, in a nutshell, very quickly they get what is your business about and how it's structured from the fundamental perspective. So the objective of the lean canvas is, of course, to analyze your business idea in detail. So it comes down to the step 3, right? In the step 3, we kind of shortlist the many business ideas, but then when you have the maybe 2 or 3 that you really like initially, based on the data and based on the initial analysis that you have run, you do carry out an analysis of your business idea in detail. Why? Because again, you will be stuck with that idea for a long time. You will invest a lot of time, a lot of money into the idea. So you better be sure that that idea has reasonable probability of being successful, right? And you want to, in the process, you want to build a strong foundation for your business. Because when you work on the canvas, and you will see that again, you will see that in the platform when you go through the module 4, where we take you step by step through the whole process. You will see that all the things connect, and you will see many things coming together, but you will also see many things actually not coming together, right? So you will see that some things don't just fit, some things are in contradiction to each other. So you will realize that, and you will start tweaking your business, right? You will start tweaking the business model. You will start, finding a better fit between your customers and the channels and your costs and revenues. So on this one page, you see everything very clearly, and you can start making those, kind of essential tweaks to make sure that, at least on paper, everything looks that it could work in real life. We'll get to that, but it's important at this stage to make sure that whenever you look at it and some other people look at it, that you feel that this really has the potential of working out, that this has the potential of being a successful business. So what are some of the typical mistakes to avoid? So what we see quite often, and again, it's quite natural, right? So there's no surprise really, is that we tend to be a bit generic, right? So we tend to not dig, very deep. So we define our customers very generically. We define the problem generically. We say that our competition is, A and B, even though it's A, B, C, D, E, F, G. So we tend to be sometimes a bit, sloppy when it comes to doing this in-depth analysis. So we don't do sufficient research, we don't gather sufficient feedback, And at the end of the day, we have the lean canvas done, but it actually does not reflect the reality of the market. And this is unfortunate, because if the canvas is done properly, it will save you a lot of time and it will save you a lot of money. So it's important to go in depth and collect the feedback and make sure that everything is as deep as possible. So within Incubate, that's why we have the mentor in place, by the way. So whenever you go through the journey, whenever you create the canvas, you can always speak to your mentor, and the mentor gives you the feedback, maybe points out that some of the areas maybe need a bit more work, or that maybe some things have not been considered. So this is why we have the mentor. And of course, if you don't use Incubate, or you don't want to use Incubate, you can find other people. You can find your friends that have a business expertise. You can find mentors somewhere else. But it's important to get this feedback on your lean canvas. Other mistake to avoid is, very often we see that it's underestimating your competition, right? Because competition is not only the one that you are specifically aware of, that is out there, but it could also be indirect, and it could also be hidden, right? So as an example, so let's say that you want to start a fitness center in your area, for example, right? So you're probably aware of the other fitness centers, you know what they're good at, what they're not good at. But what's important to consider is also the indirect competition, right? And that could be just different clubs where you can go jogging, right? Or you can go hiking, or different groups where that are dedicated to sports, right? And this is also how people solve the problem that you want to solve. Your problem, most likely in this case, is that people want to get fit. And one of the ways how they can do that is to go into a fitness center. But they can also visit the other different providers, so to say, who are your indirect competition, but they solve the same exact problem. And then you also have hidden competition, right? An example of a hidden competition in this case is TV, right? Or Netflix, right? Your competition is that people are lazy. They just want to sit on the couch and they just want to watch TV. That's what you are against the most when you are starting a fitness center. So what we see very often is that people focus on the direct competition, the one they can really, see in front of them, but they don't necessarily consider the indirect competition, the hidden competition. And this is honestly very often what kind of makes their life much more difficult, right? Not understanding the whole play field. This comes down to, as I keep mentioning all the time, the step one, the self-discovery, right? It's important that you really understand your field, because in this case, I'm using this just as an example, but if you have been, a personal trainer, then you probably know that, people do sports different ways, right? You know that your main problem is actually not the other fitness center across the road, but actually people watching Netflix, or, people just lying on the couch, right? So if you are the trainer, if you have the insight, if you have your unique profile in the field, you do understand that. But as an outsider, you might just look at the main fitness centers and then just say, hey, in my town, there is just one, so I'll open the second one and it's going to be successful. But it's usually not the case. So underestimating the competition is a mistake to avoid. And having those insights is critical. That's why we have the self-discovery there. Third mistake to avoid is overestimating the market potential. So very often we overestimate the severity of the problem, right? So we think that this problem, is something that just everybody has, even though maybe that's not true. And we feel, because again, maybe we didn't speak to some of the customers, maybe we didn't do the research properly, is that everybody would pay for it, right? We see this very frequently with our members. And again, I have done this mistake myself many times in the past. So very often we underestimate the competition and then we overestimate the market potential. What happens at the end is that we simply don't get enough clients that want to pay the price that we have in mind, and we run into severe financial issues. So all those things can, well, we cannot avoid those, but we can minimize the probability of those things happening if we do the lean canvas properly. So this is step 4. Step 5 is our prototype. So a prototype is essentially a cheap and quick sample of your product or your service, right? And this could be as simple as a proposal or a picture or a visualization, right? It doesn't have to mean that this is, very often a prototype is not functional. You know, that's why it makes it a prototype. It's something you can show to people, you know, sometimes they can touch it, you know, sometimes they can look at it, but very often it actually doesn't work. It is something that, you know, you can show, you can get feedback, but it is not functional. So it's really important to do this, because very often just by showing something tangible to people, you can get their feedback and you learn a lot. And very often you realize that they're looking for something else, or maybe they completely misunderstand it, or maybe you're looking at it from a very different angle than your market is. So it's important to do this, because if you do this properly, and again, you know, the Incubate platform can guide you through the steps, how to create this prototype. You can save money and you save time. You know, so our goal, and you know, that's why we started Incubate, is to really help you succeed, but by spending as little money and time as possible, right? There are, you know, courses out there where you pay, you know, $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000, you know, getting all of those promises. We just want to make sure that you can really maximize your probability of success and save money and time in the process. So the prototype is one of the ways how to do that, and it's something that we see our members skipping very often, right? So people have an idea and suddenly they are hiring an app company, paying them anywhere from $5,000 to $20,000 to develop this app, even though they can just show a picture, right, to their customers and say, hey, you know, look at this app, look at this screen, you know, what is coming to your mind? You know, what do you see? What are your thoughts? Or maybe doing some kind of a basic wireframes, right? There are softwares out there that cost $20, $30 a month, where you can just create, you know, kind of like a dummy app, right? It doesn't work, but it actually reacts, you know, to swipes and clicks. But people don't do that. They just immediately invest thousands of dollars into the app, only to find out that people don't want it. So the prototype is important to save money and save time before you get the initial validation, right? Before you learn that people are actually interested in that and would like to pay for this. So the typical mistakes to avoid is, as I mentioned, actually not building a prototype, right? So just, yeah, I will just, you know, build my, I will start my restaurant. I will just put it here and I will do the rent and I will furnish it, and then I will just do that. Or I will just pay this app company to create my app. Or I will just pay somebody to create the first product for me, right? So to manufacture it. It costs just enormous amounts of money. So it's important to think about what are the hypotheses I need to validate? How can I validate them? How does the prototype need to look like? And then create this prototype this way. So it's, on a high level, probably sounds very easy. It's not that easy, but again, it's a step-by-step process, you know, that we can walk you through, and then your mentor can support you in the process. This does save tons and tons of money and time. And by the way, we have done this with Incubate. I have done this in my previous businesses. So the prototyping, it's nothing new, right? It's no rocket science, but people just don't do it. They're not aware of it. They don't think this way. So think this way. Think how you can test what you have in mind, ideally with no money and with very little time invested, so you can show something to your potential customers. We see a lot of people, or all of our members, spending too much money on the prototype. That's something that I would like you to avoid as well, right? You know, our goal is not for you to spend a lot of money on your business, but actually the opposite. To validate your business with the least time and money needed, So it's important to look for ways how to create a prototype that doesn't cost that much. And there are like 25 to 30 ways how to do that, right? Everything is also described in Incubate, in the app. So this gives you the opportunities, the options, and then you can just pick the one that is closest to your product or service, focus on that and develop it. So let's not spend too much on the prototype in terms of money and also in terms of time. Because we quite often see a lot of our members just taking too much time, right? So they're building the prototype for a couple of months or maybe for half a year. So a good prototype is done maybe in a month. So that's something that I would also recommend. So now we have the prototype, right? So we have shortlisted our idea. We have picked the one or two that we like. We have analyzed them in detail. We have validated that this one looks quite reasonable. We have created the prototype, something simple that we can show to our clients, our customers. And now we're moving to the market test. So the market test is all about collecting feedback on your prototype, right? So you have created this sample offering of your product or your service, and you want to show this to your prospective clients before you invest a lot of money into it and a lot of time into it. Why? It's because the feedback from the market is the best indicator of the potential of the business, right? So you can have your own opinion, you can speak to your family, you can speak to your friends, they will always support you. And honestly, happened to me all the time. They very often just give you the wrong feedback. They just give you the supportive version of the feedback, right? Because they just want you to succeed. They want to encourage you. So they're very well-meaning people, right? Our close circle. But the market, our customers, they don't care, about us, right? As the founders, they just want the value from the product. So that's why the market test is important, because you can speak to the people that will essentially buy or not buy your product or service. So what are the mistakes to avoid here? There are good practices or best practices when it comes to asking questions in the right way, right? And again, it's not complicated. It's not something that is very, very hard, but there is a certain approach. There are certain concepts which are all explained inside Incubate, how to ask questions in the right way. Very often we ask leading questions, or we ask in a way that people can just answer in a certain way that kind of we would like to hear. So this is something to be avoided, right? Because we want honest, clear, and full feedback from the market. And if we are not coming from the field of market research, right, which probably many of us are not, it's actually quite hard to ask questions in the right way. We also tend to listen very selectively, right? We just listen for the things we have in our head, and we disregard the things that people are actually saying, maybe which are not aligned with the way that we think. So there are ways how to avoid this. Pretty simple, if you're aware of those. But the selective listening is something that could really harm us in terms of getting feedback from the market. So asking leading questions, and I mean, we see this all the time. People asking leading questions and then just hearing what they want to hear. And they come home, they're happy that everybody's supportive of their idea. They roll it out, they launch it, and they see very little reaction. Why? Because the market test has not been done properly. So this is something that can be avoided. And what we see as well quite often is actually not speaking to the right people, right? So we have a tendency to speak to people that maybe we know, or that have been kind to us, or that we know as positive people. But actually we want people that are our prospective clients, right? We want to speak to people who can potentially buy our product. And it sounds very obvious, but trust me, that's not what happens when we see our members doing the market tests. They do go to their close circle and they do get the feedback of their close circle, which is fine, but it's not. It's misleading. It's very often misleading, and it actually does hurt them in the future. So this is another mistake to be avoided. And then we have the step 7, right, which is about the team. So now we're getting to a stage where we are actually getting, fairly confident that this could actually work, right? Because, we have analyzed it, we have created the prototype, we have shown this to our prospects, they're enthusiastic, they're supportive, we're getting good feedback. So we're getting somewhere, right? And the great thing is that we have not spent a lot of money. We have actually spent almost no money until this stage. It's just about the process. It's about doing the right things, at the right time and in the right order. And this was also not that time consuming, right? Until now, this could have been maybe just a few weeks. So fairly simple. So in the step 7, we are looking into the team. So we want to reflect what people we need to kind of get our business off the ground, right? So we need to understand what are the skills, the competencies that we are missing as founders of the business, as the CEOs, so we can really get it going. There are some mistakes to be avoided, and this is now getting slightly technical or slightly towards the hard skills. But when we're hiring the team, right, which is usually it's coming from different fields, etc. Sometimes we are actually not clear on what competencies we need, right? Example, we need to develop an app, so we need a programmer, right? But I mean, there is no such thing as a programmer. There is a certain technology stack. There's certain technologies on front end, back end. There is a lot of detail that goes into defining what competencies we need, and thus what people we are looking for. So what we see very frequently is that people stay on the high level, right? They're looking for a programmer or maybe a marketer, but they are not certain what specifically they need from the marketer, what specific skills and competencies they need from the marketer. And then they hire potentially the person, or they bring this person on board as a co-founder, only to find out that maybe they want to run social media campaigns, and this person is really good, with, I don't know, with email marketing, for example. And there's a mismatch, right? But this is something that can be made clear at this stage, and then we can look for the right people with the right skills. We also see our members hiring too soon or hiring too many people. Like, to be honest, very frequently for the first couple of months, you do not need to hire almost anybody. You can just do the things yourself. There's always a workaround. There's always a way how to kind of hack it, so to say. So you do not need to hire a team of 10 people and have $500,000 in funding before you start doing something. There's always a way how to go around it, and again, we can help you find those workarounds because they're very simple, right? Again, it comes down to number of options that you can pick from. And thirdly, the mistake is not having a functional selection process in place. So finding the right people is like sales, right? So we have a funnel. At the top of the funnel, you have a lot of candidates that you want to be coming in, and you want to kind of you want to qualify them, you want to source them in the right way. So at the end of the funnel, you get your maybe 1, 2, 3 that are the best ones. So this is again a best practice. This is a concept. This is a process that is well described. You can find it online. There's tons of information. Or if you like, it's very simple inside Incubate in the module 7. So everything is clear there, step by step, and you don't have to Google around and spend a lot of hours trying to figure this out. So step 8, and we are almost getting to the end, is the financial plan, right? This is at the end because this actually matters rather towards the end. Because if none of the steps before, if they're not done correctly, you don't have to create the financial plan, right? If you cannot create your prototype, if you don't get a positive feedback from the market, if you cannot think of the people that can build this with you, if you don't have your business ideas, you don't have to create financial plan. Very often we see our members doing all the finances at the beginning, right? They create their budget and they start looking for funding. It kind of makes sense, right, from the human perspective, but it actually makes no sense at all from the business perspective. So this comes at the end of the process. So the step 8 is the financial plan, and the objective is to prepare your budget or your financial forecast, whatever you would like to call it. And why is because, of course, you want to understand your costs, your revenues, and your potential profit, right? So you want to get this high-level understanding. Some mistakes to avoid is, of course, overestimating your market potential or the attainable market share. So what this means is that we look at the market, right, and we just assume that it is of certain size. Maybe we disregard the competition, or we kind of downplay the competition. We say, hey, you know, I will just get 25% of the market. It sounds low, or 10% of the market sounds low. But in reality, perhaps it's not possible, right? Because there are other players, other factors in place. So very often we overestimate how much market we can attain, or how much, what size this business opportunity has. And there are ways how to do this correctly. And again, you know, this is what you can learn inside Incubate if you go through the module 8. Very often we also do not estimate the price correctly, right? You know, so we say, hey, for this product, it's going to cost this, or this service is going to cost that. And maybe we are not that aware of how much the competition is charging. We have not spoken to the users, to the customers, so we don't know their view. So we just say, hey, this is going to cost $30. But then when we actually roll it out, we find out that maybe people are willing to pay maximum $5 for this. So again, there are ways how to test this, you know, fairly simple. You know, it's no rocket science. Those are concepts, frameworks that are out there. But we can take you through them step by step in the step 8. Very often we also underestimate costs, right? You know, we maybe don't include all the costs, or we forget to include some kind of a cost because this is our first business, right? Or maybe we don't have that much expertise in this field. So we just forget to, you know, add some of the costs there. And what happens, you know, if you kind of bring this all together, is you have a certain idea about the market, but maybe it's much smaller. You think that you can charge a certain price, but it is much smaller potentially. And then your costs are actually much higher. So suddenly your budget just doesn't work anymore, right? What is important here is the last point are the scenarios, right? So we can always have different scenarios, maybe a, you know, optimistic one, pessimistic one, realistic one. So we can look at our assumptions, right? We're always making assumptions about the pricing, the potential, you know, the competition, the number of customers we can acquire, etc., etc. So we are making those assumptions, and those assumptions are correct with a certain degree of probability. You know, so this is where the scenarios come into place. So we can have maybe 3 scenarios and look at what will happen if things go well, if things are like, you know, normal as expected, and when things don't work. And this gives us really great visibility on the overall picture, right? On the overall business as a whole. And then we are at the last step. So step number 9, the next steps. So this is where we bring this all together, right? So you are entering Incubate with, maybe you have a business idea, or you don't have a business idea, but probably you don't have that much at this stage. We want you to be leaving with a very concrete business idea, with a pitch deck, you know, so some kind of a proposal that you can show to your investors, to your partners, to your potential employees. So something that makes a lot of sense to you, will make a lot of sense to others, you know, is validated by the market. Maybe you have the prototype in your hand. So this is where all the things come together in the step 9. And there are also some mistakes to be avoided. So it's very important to do a proper risk management, right? So to really consider the risks, consider the hypotheses, consider the assumptions that you have made throughout the process, and your mentor will help you shine a bit more light on this. So to do a proper risk management, why? Because if you understand your risks, if you're aware of them, you can work with them more proactively, right? There will be much less things that will surprise you, as you go forward. So we don't see like naturally a lot of our members doing this, and we kind of help them, and we make it clear that this is something that is really important, just for them to protect themselves, right? Because a lot of our members, they have their jobs, their families, they have their obligations, mortgages. So we want to make sure that they don't just jump into it because they're passionate, but they should use their passion to jump into it while managing their risks and while kind of keeping track of those risks. So that's something to be avoided. What we see quite frequently, especially after incubate, is that people don't set clear steps, right? So, there's no clear action, there's no clear time frame. So now I have everything. I have my business idea, I have my plan, but I don't have the next step. I have not set a deadline for myself. And then maybe slowly, it kind of fades out, and this whole thing ends up in a drawer, which is pity, right? I mean, it's fine if you consciously choose to put your idea into your drawer. Nothing wrong with that. But if you want to pursue your idea, we want to make sure that you have very concrete plan, very concrete next steps and time frame, and we can help you be accountable, and we can hold you accountable towards this plan after incubate, and connect you to people that will support you going forward. And probably the last point, or last 2 points, we see is that the pitch decks, they tend to be very long, right? Now you have gone through this whole journey of all of those 9 steps and everything, and your pitch deck is suddenly 40 slides, right? Who wants to read that, right? Nobody wants to read that. I mean, your pitch deck has to be maybe 5 to 8 slides maximum, so something simple, or maybe ideally a one-pager, right? Like a one-page document that just sums up the essence of it. So we can help you with that as well, in this step 9, to really make sure that all of those thoughts that you have, everything is condensed into this one simple document. And the last point, which I put here rather as, I mean, that's something that never kind of ceases to surprise me, is that a lot of our members and a lot of the entrepreneurs that I have been talking to over the past 15 years tend to get stuck on formalities, legalities, technicalities. How do I name my company? Do I start this company type or that company type? Do I have to have this accountant or that accountant? So all of those things can really wait until you at least have your pitch deck, and maybe you have your first customers, or maybe you have your first investor. Then you can worry about formalities, legalities, technicalities. But until that time, the only thing that matters is the validation, right? That you go out there with something specific that makes sense to you, that is built around your strengths. You show it to your customers, they give you good feedback, and you feel confident that this is something that you can kind of make take off, right? That you can make sure that this will take off in the future. Then you can worry about all the other things. So we have covered, guys, today the 9 steps of what it takes to start a business. So all those 9 steps are also here in the platform. So if you like, just go ahead, check it out. Here are the 9 modules that you can see. Everything is step by step. If you open it, there are like videos, there are explanations. Every section is, very, very straightforward, very explanatory. In case you would like to become a member, you also get your mentor. So you would have somebody that would talk to you, on a let's say weekly, bi-weekly basis, help you out, and we can help you, guide you through this whole process, which is simple, but at the same time it is complex and it gets overwhelming, right? So we have simplified this into what you can see inside the platform. For those of you who have decided to invest your time today, we actually have a promo code if you would like to use it. So it's webinar 02, like February, so webinar 02. So if you use this, you'll get 20% discount on the platform. So I can also show you. Where you can enter that, and then we can move right into questions. I'm running a bit over time, but I see almost everybody's here. So thank you for being here. Thank you for listening, and thank you for kind of allowing me to run a bit over time. So what you do is basically here. This is how we can potentially get the membership. And then there's a code, this kind of a voucher code you will just add into this section. So it's webinar 02, and you add it here into the promo part. So that's as far as that goes. So having said that, I thank you for your participation, and I'm opening the floor for any questions that there might be it to what we discussed, be it to your business, be it to Incubate. So any questions you have, please bring them up. Sid, are you raising your hand? Do I see that correctly? I'm not sure.
Yeah. I just started some clothing line back in 2021, but I can't take it to the forward. I just made a business logo and everything. I brought some clothes from Alibaba from China, and I don't know how to proceed the next step. I got our stocks and the things. So do I make a website, or do I make leaflets to distribute to the people, or door to door, something like that?
Can you rephrase your question, Sid? I'm not sure I fully followed. I'm sorry for that.
I started a business back in 2021. And I made a business logo, and I bring the products from Alibaba from China. And I couldn't sell like single products. I don't know what's wrong with me, or should I make a website? Like, it's a clothing line basically. Should I make a website, or should I make a leaflets and distribute to the door to door?
Yeah, so I would, of course, I would have to understand more about your business. What I would propose that you look into is that, for example, you can do the module 3, the idea analysis inside Incubate. So probably there are some, fundamental things that, are just not working together. And I'm fairly sure that you can figure this out using the business canvas. So please check it out, and if you like, just book a call with a mentor inside Incubate, and somebody will be there to help you out.
Yeah, sure. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sid. Mossab, you're raising your hand. Please go ahead.
Yes, how are you doing, brother? I really appreciated the presentation. I found out through you guys, through Idea Pros, who I partnered up with. They had some good things to say about you. Now, I filled out a lot of it, but I didn't have a mentor reach out to me yet. Is that something that we do, is we reach out to you guys regarding mentorship, or do we have to complete everything first until we have that opportunity?
Right. Mossab, are you our member? Are you a paying member, or have you registered?
Yeah, no, I'm a payment. Yeah, I paid the full price for the year.
Right.
And I don't regret it. I learned a lot already from it. I need some mentorship just before I submit the pitch deck and take it to the next steps.
So what you can do, Mossab, is that you will just go inside the platform and you book that call, right? So you have to book the call, and then as soon as you book that call, you will get somebody assigned to you. But you have to book it. I can show you here. So
please do.
Basically, here you have the mentor feedback, and if you click here, then there will be a button that will say book a call with a mentor, and then you will just get assigned to one of our mentors.
Are these limited to like 1 or 2 or no?
So I'm assuming you are on the 12-month membership, as the other people coming from Idea Pros. So there you have basically 12 hours of mentoring available.
Wonderful. Okay, thanks. Thanks a lot for all you do. God bless you guys.
Thanks, Musab. Thank you very much. James, stage is yours. James, do you want to talk? Your hand is raised, but you're on mute.
Oh, hi. Yeah, you okay? Yeah, I was in the webinar all the time and I joined it first time. Yeah, it was a pleasure to, I got to learn few stuff on it. Basically, I haven't started anything yet, but I got few ideas. And yeah, as you said, of course, the process I'm going through, I have spoken to a few other people as well. But I just don't know which idea is to go for. Now I'm a little bit confused with that. I have written my ideas, but now when I look at the other idea, I think, oh no, this is better. Then when I go to another one, I think, oh, that's better. So how do I clarify on this?
Right. And I fully understand you, James. So that's what happens very often, right? And honestly, it's a good problem to have, right? Because I mean, some of us maybe we struggle to have enough business ideas, right? So you have a lot
Yeah.
and you don't know which one to choose from. And where I would direct you, James, is the module 3, the idea analysis. So this is where you will go through your long list, kind of step by step, and you will, at the end of the day, arrive to maybe 1 or 2 ideas, kind of consciously, rationally, that make the most sense. So I would encourage you to start in the module 3.
All right, perfect.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then whenever you go through the section, you will have a chance to speak to your mentor, and then you guys can discuss that in a bit more detail. But the process is in the module 3. So from your long list of ideas, using certain kind of frameworks and certain tools, you will arrive to maybe 1 or 2 ideas that make the most sense to you.
Thank you. And also, do you really help with the business plan and stuff like that as well? Like how do you mentoring? I mean, do you just advise on it? We have to do everything ourselves. So how does it work?
Yeah, so the way it works is that you receive guidance from the platform, right? So the platform walks you step by step through the process, so just, day by day, task by task, you just create whatever is needed and you go through the whole journey. And whenever you either get stuck or you feel the need to speak to your mentor, you can always do that through the platform. You book the call, and then you can have that conversation. Of course, you don't have to do that. I mean, you don't have to do anything, principally. But I do recommend having the lean canvas because it is so valuable to see everything on one page and think comprehensively about all the aspects of your business.
Perfect. Thank you for your answer.
Thank you, James. Parul, are you raising your hand? You're on mute. You're still on mute, Parul.
Yes, I'm doing. Hi.
There you go. Hi.
So, hi. My question is, I have a prototype ready.
Yes.
So I have a prototype ready. All I am is up for the market test.
Yes. So if I understand you, yeah, go ahead, Parul. Sorry.
So if I hire the mentor, how long help will I be needing? And as per the name says, the mentor will be just telling me what to do, or he'll be going along with me when I'm actually doing the market test, because I don't know how to go about the market test.
Right. So the mentor is there to support you, right? So no mentor is in a position to tell you what to do, right? Because you are working on something that you understand, that you believe in, where you have been active before. So the mentor is there rather to guide you and to give you options, that you can pick from and, that you can consider. So as soon as you would decide to become a member, then that mentor would be assigned to you. And then that mentor will be available to you for whatever you might need him or her. So if you would say, hey, I need somebody now, especially for the market test, then you can use the full capacity of your mentor to help you out as much as he or she can when it comes to the actual market test.
Okay, so I'll be doing by myself, but he'll be only guiding. But he'll be only guiding me what to do. Yeah.
Correct. Yeah. So the mentor is not somebody who does the work for you, right? Because again, you are the best position to carry it out. But he or she is there to help you out, do this in the best, cheapest, and fastest way possible.
Okay, and how long will it take for to do the market test? Like week or month? Do you know?
Yeah. Of course, I would need to know more about your particular business, but based on our experience from all of our members, it usually takes like a week or two.
Okay, so can I book a call? I should go to the website and book a call there? Yeah, I can't book it. I can't book it now with you. Yeah.
Yeah, I would love, Parul, if you could do that. Yeah, if you could do it inside the platform, that would be useful.
Okay, and I can talk through my plan and everything, and he can look into it like from the market test point. That's what basically primarily I'm looking for. Yeah.
Precisely. Yes.
Sounds cool. I'll do it then. Shh, quiet. Thank you.
Thanks, Parul. Thanks both of you to be joining today. So I think Sandeep is raising his hand, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah, hi Fred. Yeah, so actually,
Hi, Sandeep.
yeah, I couldn't join on the time and I wasn't like able to see your full presentation. Is there any way like you can send a link I can just walk through and I can go through what is it all about? Because I'm
Absolutely.
actually, yeah, there's another thing I'm planning a different I have some ideas, but I don't know like where it starts from, and I don't know whether it's gonna work and how much the potential ideas those are. Is there any like you guys also help to analysis the ideas and like there is like some ideas you guys can provide to to analysis like what I'm thinking and what are your ideas so I can go on the based of those things and I can make that ground.
Absolutely. Yeah. So Sandeep, I think we will be sharing this certainly to all the participants that have registered, maybe even to like a broader group. So you are welcome to listen to this when that is shared. And in terms of your specific question, those are some of the topics that we covered today throughout the webinar. So I think if you would find the time to listen to this, I think this answer this question should be answered by that.
Oh yeah, because that was my goal to attend this presentation, but I couldn't make it in time. So I was really looking even someone who can give me more perspective ideas like even I have, but I don't know how is worth of those. And yeah, so like just kind of help to kick off the initiation.
Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I understand that you have been busy, so I think we will share this quite soon. So then you can just listen to it, and I think a lot of your questions will be answered there.
Yeah,
and then
please
if not,
send
you can always
me.
reach out to us.
Yeah, send me your whatever the recording so I can go through from that. Yeah.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sandeep. Any more questions, ladies and gentlemen? Sid, are you raising your hand or fingers?
Yeah, this is the first time I watched the presentation, and yesterday Mr. Vivek sent me a link through my email, and I have no idea about like Incubate and what it does do, and what's the functions they provide and what services they do. It's like I have a couple of ideas in my mind, So if I go through the membership and if I have a couple of ideas in my mind, like I can take a mentorship whole, like whatever the period is, like how long is the membership period, and like how much is that cost me?
Right. So the membership is either for 3 months or 12 months.
Yeah.
And for the 3 months, it's $150. So it's like $50 per month. For the 12 months, it's $299. So those are the two options that you have available. And what you get is always access to the platform, unlimited access to the journey, to the step-by-step journey that guides you forward.
Yeah.
And you also get mentoring hours face-to-face with your own dedicated mentor.
Yeah, but it's like if everything I have to do, like the idea and evaluate and everything, market test and everything, but the thing is the mentor, like wherever I get stuck, okay, you have to do this, you have to do that one, you have to do like that. Is that like whenever like I got a doubt I can ask, or is there any like particular period or particular time or any particular like restricted calls
Exactly.
I can?
No, so it's rather first. So the whole idea of the mentor is to help you whenever you are stuck, or whenever you get stuck, or whether you're not sure what to do. So whenever you have that problem, you can always reach out, on either the chat
Like,
function that we have there, or email. And then there are also milestones. Usually at the end of every module is where we recommend that you reach out to your mentor and you discuss that particular module.
Yeah, but for instance, like, is that like if I take a 12 months membership, I can, in the period of 12 months, like for a year, I can ask anytime. I can book a call for any time.
So there is in total 24 mentoring sessions for a 12-month membership. So you get, I mean, you can use those as you like.
Yeah.
Usually our members use them every 2 weeks, so to say.
Yeah. But how long is the call? Like how long I can speak with them?
It's half an hour, so it's a 30 minutes call.
Mentorship. Okay, like if I pick up an idea, like it's a step by step, I can ask them as well. Like, okay, I finished this step, I finished that step. Like
exactly.
Okay, no problem.
Yeah. Thank you, Sid. Hope that's more clear.
Yeah.
Sandeep, are you raising your hand, or is this from the past? I'm not sure now.
No, it was maybe like before I raised the hand, it's still like up, but yeah, I'm done.
All right, cool. Thank you. Parul?
Yes, hi. I was thinking, can I have you as a mentor?
Yeah, there is an option for that. So there's like a kind of a system that we have. Yeah, but I mean, if, for example, you would like to be in touch with me, then you can just kind of flag this, and we'll do our best to accommodate that.
I can ask for Mr. Fred, yeah? That's your name, right?
Correct.
Okay, I'll ask for you for sure, because I've spoken to you and I just seen your presentations. I'm likely more bended towards to you rather to actually for anybody else who I have never met. So yeah, I'm gonna vouch for you for sure, just to let you know in advance,
Thank you. Thank you, Parul. I appreciate it. Vivek, are you raising your hand as well?
Yeah, thank you, Fred. So, kind request to everyone, we have floated a poll about the webinar. There are 3 polls. If you go to the bottom right section in the activities, there are a couple of polls. It would be great if you could respond to those polls. One of those polls is about the rating the webinar. It would be very nice if you could. It's at the bottom right activities section, polls.
So what Vivek is suggesting is when you click here at the top, at the bottom right corner, activities, there is polls, and then there are the polls. And I think Vivek is inviting you to the last poll, rating the webinar on the scale 1 to 5. 5 is the best, 1 is the worst. So if you want to vote, please do. It will be helpful for us in terms of quick feedback. And I think we have a space for maybe one last question. Thank you all for being here. half an hour longer. We appreciate it. So any last question before we part off? So seems like no more questions. Guys, thank you so much for joining on behalf of both Vivek and myself. It was a pleasure to meet you all. Thank you for your time. If you have any questions, just drop us an email, either through the platform or fred@incubate.me. There's the promo code that I mentioned. So if you would like to become a member, there's 20% discount. The promo code is webinar02. And yeah, if there is anything we could do for you guys, even if you would not become a member, just let us know and we will do our best to assist you. Thank you so much. Wish you a nice rest of the day or evening, wherever you are. And we look forward to seeing you soon.
Thank you so much, Fred. Thank you.
Take care, guys. Bye.